My name's Ryan Sanders, and I'm an alcoholic. This is episode 2 of FIS, Freedom and Sobriety. I talked to you on the first episode about this new program I've been working on. And eventually, with these episodes, I'm going to get to the questions and the lists and delve into those a little more. But there are some of these first episodes, I kind of want to talk about a few topics. Some of the topics being, FIS in comparison to AA. There's a question that we have, or do you have a higher power? The Christianity aspect, or Buddha, or whatever it is you believe or don't believe, and how that kind of is tricky. I know AA is kind of Christian based, so a lot of people don't go there because of that. Just kind of talk about that. Things like daily responsibilities beyond the questions. What are you doing day to day? And then sharing your weakness and that actually being a strength and a positive. Where sometimes people don't exactly believe that. So there'll be a few topics that we'll talk about before we get into the questions. Again, my videos, my episodes will generally be about 9 to 10 minutes. However, this video will probably be a bit longer. And this video really doesn't have a lot to do with your sobriety per se. But I think it's important for you to understand me a little bit, a lot, and where I come from. I guess I think back on my sobriety and my first AA meeting, and I remember thinking that, man, I'm gonna just go there and blow their socks off with how much I drink and what I've done, and at some point in the meeting, they're gonna just kick me out because they're gonna say, I can't be fixed. I've gone too far. I'm too far gone to be saved, and that's honestly what I wanted to hear. And by the time I was done with that first AA meeting, I had met a lot of gentlemen and a few women who had similar stories. And to be honest with you, that wasn't relieving to me. I was even more upset by that. So. Anyway, I would like for you to have the opportunity to get to know me on a personal level. I think my cat wants to be in the video. Anyway, just to get to know me. Again, all of this, the FIS, it's how I got sober, and I am not a therapist or anything like that. So this is my own program and what I did to get sober. So first off, though, I do want to talk about our last episode, and something that a crucial part that I missed was one thing that my program currently doesn't provide is a brick and mortar building. And I think it's extremely important for you to go to a meeting and talk it out, because sometimes you can get in your head a little bit, and you can get a little crazy, and sometimes you just need to verbalize what's going on in here to make it make sense. So I highly recommend you, early on in your sobriety, go to these AA meetings and go to brick and mortar buildings and churches or whatever, synagogues, and talk about your problems, because like a topic we'll talk about, I think there's a lot of strength in talking about your weaknesses. So anyway, let's kind of talk about my journey. So again, this might be a bit of a long video, maybe not as enjoyable as some of the other ones where we get right into the topics, but anyway, it's kind of a get to know your alcoholic. So I've been sober for almost 8.5 years. I sobered up on April 5th, 2011. I was living in Seattle, just south of Seattle. And yeah, so I was sober my whole life, and the plan was to have my first drink on my 21st birthday, and I pulled it off. I had moved out to Las Vegas and was living with a cousin and some friends, and I didn't have my first drink until I turned 21. I didn't last in Vegas very long, and I moved back home. Um, and something happened. I had a friend, and we were very, very close. And due to certain circumstances, very positive circumstances, we kind of lost touch. And it very much upset me. And it was my initial trigger into alcoholism. And I kind of felt like he abandoned me. And I would never do that to anybody. So I started throwing parties. And, you know, I wasn't the party kid, but I had this mentality now that I was going to be the life of the party and I was going to be everybody's friend. So, you know, at the high point of that, you know, I was buying, 6 cases of beer, 1.5 gallons of vodka to make it through the weekend and just rage Friday and Saturday, work it off on Sunday with some easy beers and watching football. During that time, I got my first DUI. Did 3 months of slap on the wrist stuff. Couldn't drive, things like that. I continued on that path, and the lying kind of began. And would lie about my drinking. Would start to lie about things that I didn't even need to lie about. I just did it because, and I couldn't stop. And lying started to catch up to me. So I actually moved back to Las Vegas, and again, just running away from my problems. And I was doing well, and then once I got comfortable in my job in my life, I started drinking again, and I started drinking a 12-pack and a 24-pack, 24 with a bottle of wine, and I would start on my day off, and I would just drink and drink and drink. I was a very functional alcoholic. I was never late to work. I was a good employee. But then, I started drinking on my job, and again, I started to kind of melt down, and met a girl, and had an opportunity to escape Las Vegas because, again, I was lying heavily and doing the wrong things and making bad choices. During that time, just before I moved, I actually, the girl that was living in Seattle, I cheated on her, and that wasn't found out till a little later, but actually before I left, I actually got a second DUI. I turned to a reckless driving with a good lawyer, again, another slap on the wrist, some community service stuff, and then moved to Seattle, but just kept drinking at that point. Gained a lot of weight. On that sobriety day, I actually weighed about 240 pounds. Just miserable. I wasn't the life of the party anymore. I would just kind of drink by myself and would make excuses not to go out and hang out with people because alcoholism at that point was a job. And I remember sitting down. At this point, it was like a 34, 36 pack, and just thinking, okay, we gotta start drinking. We gotta start doing this. And I would basically, a night for me was I would take 2 beers, and I would put them next to my bed. I would take 2 beers and I'd put them in the shower. After work, I would drive home, buy the beer, have a couple sparks while I was driving, which were energy beers, and then I would kind of start doing shots and beers, and then I'd get hammered, and I'd drive to the local fast food joint, usually KFC, and I would eat as much as I could, and then I would go and I would throw up, and I would continue drinking, and I would just continue this process all night long until I would make it to my bed. Throughout the night, I would drink 2 beers. I would wake up in the morning just obviously feeling awful. But I had 2 beers in the shower, and they were my sober beers, and I would drink those and head off to my job, or just start the next day of drinking, whatever that might be. Yeah, I was spending about, 70 to 75 bucks a night on the food and the alcohol, which is funny because I thought I had a terrible job. Come to find out, it was actually a pretty good job. And you know, on April 5th, actually my sobriety date is April 7th. On April 5th, my girlfriend, she found out that I cheated on her. A lot of people found out about the drinking, and my whole world kind of crumbled, and it was just really the worst day of my whole life. I just really got to step back and see the absolute chaos that I had created for friends and family and coworkers and myself, and it was just a really low point. I just thoughts were maybe run to Mexico and never see anyone ever again and just go die in a hole somewhere. Yeah, that was a lot of alcohol to consume night after night after night. At that point, I had gotten a third DUI, and I went into a deferred prosecution, which is a 5-year probationary thing, which I actually just wanted to go to jail. I just wanted to kind of get away from myself. But yeah, that was really, really hard on my body, on my soul, on just everybody. And I didn't think there was any light, but there was, and I'm so thankful that there was, through friends and people in certain places and things like that. I had told my mom that I was going to go to an AA meeting because they were done with me. They were done speaking to me, and that was really sad. That was really tough. So my mom called me and she drove me to an AA meeting. I was on the phone with her. She's living back home. I remember getting there and just, like I said, I didn't want to be fixed. I wanted them to tell me that there was no hope for me ever. And that wasn't the case. But I cried my way through that, and I realized I could be fixed. And it was a really hard couple months, and I felt very drunk still. But a buddy of mine told me to just do something every day. So I started doing something every day, whether it was sweeping the floors or cleaning the bathtub or whatever it was, taking a walk. I was required to go see a therapist. Her name is Jessica, who's actually helping me with the FIS program. She is a fantastic woman. And then life got a little easier, and I was yearning for more responsibility day in and day out. And I ended up getting a dog, who I still have, Charlie. He's been there through the whole thing, and love him. But life became responsibilities. So I have to work on time, and doing the right things, and making the right choices. And I really saw that you start stringing good choices together, that good things start to happen. And I know that's not the case all the time, but in my situation, that's what happened, and I was so lucky. I very quickly learned a tick that I have, and it was my major tick, and it's that if somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm going to prove them wrong. So, early on, people were like, well, you can't do this. And in the most positive way, I was like, yes, I can. I would do it. And then, again, that tick showed up when people were like, well, you can't be that kind of party guy. I was like, well, yes, I can be that party guy. And I was. Throwing those keggers and having all that alcohol and being everyone's best friend. Like, I did it. I was the cool kid. And then I was at an AA meeting. And one of the things in AA that I don't believe in is I don't believe in sponsorship. Again, that's something we'll delve into a little more. Please don't be offended if you do have a sponsor, and AA is working for you, please keep your sponsor, love your sponsor. I know that they do great work, they work hard for you. But for me, that wasn't what I needed or what I wanted. And a guy told me that I couldn't get sober unless I got a sponsor, and that tick happened, and I 180'd, and it was like, yes, I can do it without a sponsor. Again, very thankful that I was able to. But I then got into daily plans, like how do I feel today, and so what route am I going to take to get home so I don't go past the bars or places that I would pick liquor up, or if I was having a great day, I would just drive home, or I would call somebody to drive me home and get me there safely. Just a lot of planning, day in, day out. It wasn't easy, and I'm really glad that I don't have to do that, but I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad I did it successfully, because I now have the life that I have today. Again, through all that, and the FIS stuff that we're going to be talking about, is when the list began. That was a big one, finding out what I like to do drunk, and what I like to do sober, and how can I do all the things that I like to do drunk, sober. Karaoke was one of them, and I love singing karaoke today, and I don't need a drop to do it. I'll just go up on stage and rock a mic, drop a mic, and get off the stage. But tough questions such as, do I accept my choices? Can I live with the choices I've made? Take full responsibility of my choices. Can I deal with daily, weekly, monthly challenges ahead of me, and seeing those challenges before I get to them? Cutting certain people out of my life, which was a tough one, but very important. Taking care of number one seems selfish, but in early sobriety, man, you really have to. For me, and that higher power talk, that was, really, dug in deep and learned about my higher power and things like that. Now today I can, go to bars and leave bars and see when that crowd changes, and it's no skin off my nose, and it was due to a lot of hard work and going through these questions and learning about myself, going through the questions again, and then growing as I moved forward. Go work out and do all the positive life changes that I talk about in the mission statement. Today I don't go to therapy. I don't go to meetings unless I'm having a moment and I'm not too proud to go and talk about my feelings and say what's wrong, or having some struggles at home or at work or whatever, and kind of getting back into the questions and asking myself some of the questions, not all the questions, but the pertinent questions that I need to ask myself. So that was kind of my journey. Again, I left out some extreme graphic detail to the life that I once lived, but I am so very thankful that I'm here. I have a wife and a beautiful daughter, great house and great job, and I'm just so thankful that I get to live life as just a regular human being. I'm beyond blessed. So again, I'm done talking about me. This is going to be the end of episode 2. Again, this is just for you to get to know me a little bit, and that that I've struggled, and I've been there in the early stages, in the middle stages, and the first 2 years being extremely tough. I've done it. I've been there, and with the hard work and dedication and asking forgiveness and looking deep into your soul, you can have a really great life. So hey, thank you for listening. Again, we're gonna get more into the FIS questions. again, the next few episodes will be some focused topics, and I'm very, very excited about it. So I hope you stuck around and listened to this. And if you didn't, just jump on to episode 3. Please like this, subscribe to this, send me a message if you have any questions. Please send me those. But yeah, we're slowly trying to get this going, and like I said in the first episode, even if you don't have an addiction, send this out to somebody. Even if this isn't what's going to get them sober, maybe it's a way for them to look at sobriety at a different angle, and hopefully they can make those positive changes and live a better life. So thank you for listening. Have a great night.